A warm welcome to this talk, Wednesday the 7th of February. Now, I'm becoming convinced we're dealing with a completely new disease. Let me show you what I mean here. And we've got detailed videos coming up on this shortly. Now, let me just show you this picture here. Now, these are the white clots, for want of a better term, that are being taken out by embalmers during post-mortem.
Nanomachines.
They're white, sort of rubbery clots. Now, Dr. Ryan Cole, I believe, has done an analysis of these, and he's found out that they're made of fibrin, which is a blood clotting protein, platelets, which are the normal thrombocytes in the blood, and an abnormal protein called amyloid protein. And these are being washed out at post-mortem. I'm just convinced of this now because I've seen so many pictures of these. And you can see here that they seem to be branching in exactly the same way that the vascular tree would branch. They're like branches. So I think these are casts. And these are coming out from arteries in embalming, and they're coming out from veins in embalming as well. Now, the data I'm going to present from Mr. Thomas Haviland, Major Haviland, who's examined this. That'll be in the next video. But what he found was, in 2023, embalmers reported that 20% of corpses were showing these things. 20%, a fifth. In 2022, it had been 30%. In 2021, there'd been some, quite a lot, but we don't have a figure on that. In 2020, before any rollouts of things, there was very few cases, but of course we did have a pandemic then, with SARS-CoV-2 too. So a few in 2020, lots in 2021, lots in 2022, still a lot in 2023, involved in 20% of, potentially in 20% of deaths. This is just huge. Before 2020, the embalmers weren't seeing any. So 2019, as far back as you want to go, they were seeing none. And then they're getting these things. On which you will be scored, what is going on here? Now, there will be a few ideas of what's going on in the video. Let's just look at some more pictures first of all. Here's another example. And again, we see that it kind of breaks down. It's a bit of a junction coming from inside a blood vessel, 6 inches there, which is about 15, 16 centimeters, I guess. And these white clots simply aren't in the pathology textbooks. This is a new disease. Quite incredible. Quite incredible. Now let's move on to look at some more pictures. These are the white clots in a tube, and we'll see some more live on the video that we look at with Major Haviland.
In CASP 13, something very significant had happened. For the first time, we saw the effective
so you see the razor there for the scale. These are just being collected during the embalming process. And again, you see these are white. Now these bits, you can see some bits of normal blood clot in there. That's what you'd expect. All these things are new. These have not seen before 2020. In 2020 they were seen in very small amounts. In 2021, 2022, 2023, seen in large amounts. This really needs to be investigated as a matter of urgency, and should suspend any therapeutic interventions that could potentially be causing this until we know for absolutely certain that it's not the cause. Because at the moment the correlation is there, and the correlation is strong, both in temporal correlation and quantitative correlation.
But I know what that means.
So these are flushed out of the circulatory system. Of course, the lining, the blood vessels, the bit down the middle is supposed to be hollow. It's supposed to be lumen, not clogged up with this stuff. This is a new pathology, a new disease. What is going on here? Again, another example. You see the size of the scalpel. Here we do see some blood clots associated with it, but we see this unmistakable white, strandy, wormy
possibility
long
another team has come somewhere out of left field
flushed
that we don't
out
even know
of
about.
the circulatory system of dead human
we should have been
beings.
panicking before.
This is
better, but still
a
doesn't
massive
do quite as well as the
scientific
best
finding.
model. So it
Why
looks
isn't
like
it all
there's
over the
room for
scientific
improvement.
literature? Why
There's
isn't it
always a
all
risk
over
that you've
mainstream
missed something,
media?
and that's why blind assessments.
You
like
see,
Casper
this
so
is
important
photograph.
to
This is
validate
photographs.
whether our results are
These
real.
things exist.
Obviously,
This
I'm
is
excited
real.
to see how Casper
You know,
14 goes.
My
you're looking at
expectation
them.
is we get our heads down, we focus on the full goal, which is to solve
Another
the whole
example
problem.
there. Again, flushed out of the arteries and veins.
The Prime
of
Minister has announced
dead
the most
human
drastic
beings.
limits to
You
our
see
lives
some
the
normal
UK has
splodgy
ever
blood
seen
clot
in
there,
living
but these
memory.
white bits aren't.
I
These
must
are,
give the
these are
British
not what you
people a
expect.
very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Lots more examples, and I'm getting another
We were
250
prepared for
examples
Cast
sent to me,
start
so
on
these are
April
not
15th
just
because that's when it was originally
not
scheduled
just
to
random
start, and it's been
bits.
delayed
Here we
by
see
a month
more
due to
ordinary blood clot
coronavirus.
mixed in.
I really miss everyone.
Again, we can see the
I struggled a little
unmistakable
bit,
white,
just kind of getting into a routine,
fibrous
especially
blood clots.
with my wife. She
And,
came down with
that's the original one we
virus.
looked at, where
I mean,
they've
luckily
been
it didn't turn out too serious.
cleaned off in the embalmer's
on
hand.
Monday.
Can I just check this diagram you've got here, John? This one where we
I'm just blown away. This is a new pathology. It's not in the books. This is new.
This region, if you imagine
Currently in about 20% of corpses by this survey data. I actually have been in communication with an embalmer in the United Kingdom today, who also tells me about 20% of the bodies he's embalming
protein. We tried
seeing
really hard
this
to
white
improve our
blood clot.
prediction. Like really,
We need
really hard.
answers.
Probably the most time that we have ever spent on
It's
a
time to
single
stop
target.
messing about, and we need a moratorium until we get those answers.
And we've gotten 3
More
answers
details
back.
from
now
Major
have the
Haviland, who
ground truth
kindly
for
gave me this
ORF8,
data. Thank
which is
you
one of
very
the
much.
coronavirus proteins.
And
it turns out
much more in the
we
next video.
did
I'm going to
really
start
well in
editing that
predicting
now. I've already done the interview, but I just wanted to
Amazing
get
job,
this to you
everyone, the
because
whole
I'm just
team.
blown
It's
away.
been
You're
incredible
dealing with a
effort.
completely new pathology.
Here what we saw
a new
in
set of
CAS
diseases.
14 was a group
And
delivering
coincidentally,
atomic accuracy off the
still got
bat,
excess deaths.
essentially solving what in our world is 2 problems. How do you look to find
Answers,
the right
please.
solution, and then how do you recognize you've got the right solution when you're there?
All right, are we?
Check out the next video. I should have it up in just a
I'm
few
going to
hours.
read
It won't
an
take me
email.
long to edit it. Thank you.
I got this from John Malt.
Where I
I'll
suspect
just
it
read
is a
it. It says,
vaccine death.
John, as
They're
I
all
expect
vaccinated.
you know, your group has performed amazingly
And,
well in CAS 14.
It's
both
just
relative
what gets
to
me
other
about
groups
this
and
is
in
this is a
absolute
completely
model
new pathology.
accuracy.
Normally, doctors and young researchers are saying, "Oh, a new idea," and they try to compete with each other to get into the literature first. But here, a completely new pathology is being discovered by people like yourself. And this white thrombi that you pulled out of the femoral artery of this tragic young man, who should be at home now with his kids and his young wife.
Suddenly, this is a solution.
Yeah, when you think about it in
solve
those
the
human
problem.
terms, it's simply appalling.
This gives you such
you know,
excitement
he should be going to
about
visit
the
his
way
mum at the
science
weekend.
works,
You know,
about
he should
how you
be
can never
in all these things.
exactly, or even
100%,
close
yeah,
to what's
100%.
gonna happen
And the
next.
family,
There
the
are
family
always
know,
these
John.
surprises, and
They're
that
not silly.
really,
They know.
as
Some
a
of them are
scientist,
coming in
is what
really
keeps
angry.
you going.
Where
What's
did they
gonna
go
be
with
the
that?
next surprise?
Because the coroners won't listen. They won't entertain it. The police. I've been to the police station and Thames Valley Police on April the 28th of last year. I went with Mark Sexton. And the incident number was 1068 at Thames Valley Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
And I asked to speak to someone in relation. I said I was an undertaker. I run a local funeral home. I said I've got real concerns over a number of deaths that I'm seeing. I really need to speak to someone to voice those concerns. They wouldn't even speak to me. They wouldn't even see me.
And drives life.
This is incredible. You are a gatekeeper of the safety of the entire British public.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
You know,
But not anymore.
if it somehow gets past the police, and this case, why didn't the pathologist pick this up?
Because they're
So,
not.
so this poor dead guy had come to you with this thing in his artery, and the pathologist. Well, what we can say for certain is the pathologist hadn't pulled it out because you pulled it out.
Yes. Well, I've been a funeral director, as I've said, 18 years. It's the only time I've ever raised concerns. They're not interested. They don't want to know. And they won't even enter into a discussion. They're actively hiding it. Actively. Why? You would have to ask them. I suspect coercion, probably money and pressure. And how long are you complicit in a crime before you are complicit? Do you know, if you're going to hide something, how long do you hide it before you actually are complicit? So I guess they're in a really awkward position now, is the truth. slowly comes out. You know, how long are they going to gaslight us for and lie? I really don't know. You'd have to ask them.
Yeah, well, you weren't gaslighted. Your intelligence was insulted.
Of course, I knew. But when you have to have some sort of working relationship, do I start screaming liar? You know, it puts you on the spot, don't it? So I just keep telling people the truth in the hope that good and truth will prevail, and that's my hope. I believe it will.
I mean, let's suppose a patient came in, a body came into you, described as a sudden death, and you found a bullet hole in the back.
Yeah.
You know, that had been missed. Let's say. I mean, if you went to the police now in February 2024, do you think they would come around and look at that?
I think it's a really interesting one. To be honest with you, it wouldn't surprise me if they completely turned the other cheek and said no. I've got no faith in the police and no faith in the system at all. You know, and there's talk now of the coroner's, the cremation paperwork being disbanded as well now. That was brought in after the Harold Shipman GP case where he was killing people. They brought in what's called cremation paperwork, and the idea of that was to prevent unlawful deaths going through a cremation process, and they're talking about abandoning that totally. They've already trimmed it down from two doctors to one because of COVID, we were all told. And you know, it's generally recognised in the industry. I know when COVID was on, loads of people said it's a great time to do a murder.
Well, I think it still is, to be quite honest, John.
100%. I totally agree.
I mean, let's suppose completely hypothetically we had someone who was going around poisoning people, and it made let's say it made, I don't know, it made the legs turn orange, say, and you were seeing lots of orange legs, and you went to the police and said, just a minute, I'm seeing lots of orange legs here. This could be because of foul play. I would expect them to be round there like a shot.
Yeah, no, they won't even talk to me. They won't even sit and take a statement off me. They gave me an incident number, 1068, and you can verify this with Mark Sexton because he went there with me.
And I will say that you've sent me a lot of photographic evidence, John. It's ambiguous what we can show on YouTube in terms of photographic evidence at the moment, but I have seen it. I give my word.
Yeah, I kind of, to be honest with you, I'm a guy that cares very much about people, not just about what's going on, but also about their privacy. And you know, I wouldn't ever send any people who said, "Oh, can we come and film?" No, you can't, because it's not appropriate. But certainly samples of what I've seen and a short video of the clots laying there, I'm more than happy to send. And you know, I'll talk to anyone that listen. Nobody seems to want to talk to me.
Well, I'm just what's going on in our country now is just incredible. 2020, 2021, you started seeing these. Would you say they got more towards 2022, 2023? Were you seeing more?
Well, I'm seeing less now, although I'm seeing more deaths, and the reason I suspect that is because the coroners, they know that I've been very vocal, and one of the questions they ask families is which funeral director you're using. So I kind of wonder if they then tell the coroner, and I suspect the bodies are probably being cleaned up a little bit before they're released to me. That's my suspicion. I've got no way of proving that, but I'm not finding as many clots as I did, although in the last 2 weeks I found 2 full of them. So you know, I know.
Right. Still 20. So the 25% average.
Do you know what?
Is kind of the average figure over the past few years.
It could be one person. That's enough to raise the alarm, you know.
Oh, of course it is.
Why for example, when you look at schools, they won't serve peanut butter in schools because the odd person has died of anaphylaxis. We have 100,000 excess deaths.
Just in the past 12
and all the
months.
MPs are going on jollies in Davos.
Yeah.
What can't people see?
And laughing and jeering when someone mentions it in Parliament.
Yeah, mocking him and telling him he's going to be dead soon because he's been jabbed and he'll have cancer and die.
And the Prime Minister slams his hand down and categorically says COVID vaccines are safe.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's almost as though we've gone to bed, woke up, and the whole world's become inverted. You know. So yeah, I won't stop shouting. You know, they can come and get me whenever they want, but I won't stop telling the truth, John. Yeah, so I had a hospice nurse reach out to me in July. Her name's Helen. I'm not going to identify her fully. And she said she's seeing cancers in the under 40s and 50s that she's never seen. So prior to the COVID rollout or the jab rollout, we used to see people with come in, they'd have a cancer story, and that story would be 2, 5, even 10 years long. Now these people are dying in 6, 8, 10, 12 weeks from being asymptomatic and leading a regular life to death. And this cancer hospice nurse said exactly that. She said they're dying before they even get a single treatment. They're dying before they can even see a consultant to discuss treatment.
And you mentioned that horrible brain tumour, glioblastoma.
Yeah,
before.
glioblastoma. Yeah, this is. She's never
very
seen
aggressive
it.
brain cancer.
Yes, of course. And these people are dying literally in weeks from being asymptomatic and leading a regular life. And there's only one thing they all have in common: they've been vaccinated.
You know, you're describing what happened to a good friend of mine, John.
Bless him.
Fit and well, dead within 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And on the comments, I'm getting a lot of the same thing. This is resonating with people.
It resonates. They're coming in here really angry, John, because they know now.
Yeah. This can't be hidden for much longer, John.
Well, where do they go with it, though? If you go to the coroner, they just gaslight you. If you go to the police,
they're not interested.
They're not interested. You write to your MP, he'll recommend that you get your next COVID booster.
Yeah,
they're insane.
And they are. I've got letters from MPs all over the country.
Yeah.
I can't publish them because I haven't got permission of the MPs. But you know, the vast majority of them are saying no. We carry on. This is the policy. We follow government policy.
Yeah, they're well paid and they think they've got a seat on the ark.
We follow government policy.
Yeah.
Is another way of saying I was just obeying orders.
Yeah, of course. Well, we see
not
what
an excuse. Just obeying orders is not an excuse.
No, and that was never a defence, was it? It didn't work for those in Nuremberg.
Exactly that. Yeah. John, you have our complete admiration and the thanks. I mean, as far as I'm able to, the thanks to the British people. You know, and the fact that our coroner system that safeguarded our well-being since the Middle Ages has now got serious question marks over it, but we've got guys like you that are shouting out the truth. We really appreciate
I
it.
care very much about other people, and don't get me wrong, I'm aware that I have a family as well. Do you know the future that these insane genocidal maniacs are shaping for us? And what encourages me is that now, I mean, when I first started speaking 3.5 years ago, everyone said I was mad. I've had members of my own family disown me, you know, and people that I thought were friends, I no longer speak to because I'm the crazy conspiracy theorist. I draw comfort now knowing that people like yourself and other far more intelligent, far more reputable medical professionals are openly discussing it. So I kind of draw strength that surely goodness and truth will prevail. And if we do live in a society where these criminals can be brought to task, they will be. Will that happen? Do you know what? I live now only to testify in the court in Nuremberg, and I hope that happens. You know, I'm going to keep going, I promise you.
And your data, what you've just told me, is completely consistent with the international data collected by Major Tom Haviland. Completely consistent with the undertakers I've talked to, other than yourself and Tom Haviland and his contacts. This is a consistent story that's coming out. Are you concerned for your personal safety, John?
I don't care. If I was bothered about me, I would have never said anything. They can come and get me tomorrow. What's the worst that can happen? It puts me out of my misery because it's miserable. It's a miserable. Do you know what? Living, knowing what I know, when everyone said you were insane, it's really tough. It's a really tough ask. But I think we go through this life, don't we? And we wonder why we're here. I know why I'm here now, and I'm going to keep going. And I'm not frightened of them. I spend a lot of time in the company of death. They know where I am. They can come and get me tomorrow. I could have a car crash or an heart attack or an aggressive cancer. I'm not frightened of them. Let them do their worst.
Yeah.
It's about all of us, isn't it? It's about all of us, not just me.
I've had the police round a couple of times with death threats for me personally. And,
yeah.
You know, I find this actually more concerning than you know, a gang of gunmen walking down the street. You can see that. You know the danger.
Yeah, they don't do it that way now. It's done.
What would be more concerning is a cancer or a blood clot or an undiagnosed pathology or you know.
Yeah, the weapons of choice are not silenced pistols now anymore, are they? They're toxins, cancers, and but I'm not frightened of them. Let them come and get me. I'm really not frightened because it's bigger than me. It's more important to me. And if I should die anytime, you know, I want my legacy to be saving others and truth and honesty.
Yep. Yeah, if I can have that on my gravestone, that'll do.
Amen.
Yeah. John, thanks very much, mate. Really appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thank you for your time as well, John.
Yeah, thanks.